you can't find your passion because you're currently believing certain lies that you've been told, make it almost impossible to figure it out. I finally found mine, but I could have saved years of my life if I understood what I'm going to share with you here so you can figure out yours potentially quicker than me. To make a long story short, I tried multiple things, did some deep introspection, listened to all the advice, and found what has been holding me back all this time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Also take notes, that could help. I found myself at a point where I had a thriving business, selling my own physical products online, basically making money on autopilot, living the dream that everybody talked about. But I hated every single day of it. I was selling products I didn't care about to people I didn't know, and I had to force myself to get things done to grow it. And as an ambitious weirdo just like you, I knew that in order to live a truly fulfilling life, which is what this channel is all about, I knew I had to fix this because I was just wasting my valuable lifetime. So I decided to sell the business, cashed out big, and even though I could have just not worked for the next few years if I wanted to, I couldn't sit still. I wanted to start the business that I knew I would love. My idea was to build a business that would bring like-minded, ambitious, action-driven people together because I was so lonely at the time and I hated it and I wanted to solve that problem. So I started running meetups, started a podcast, interviewing people, running business retreats with young entrepreneurs, and I was really excited about it until I wasn't. Something was off. I ended up not liking any of it, and it still felt like work, just like it did before. And this is the first thing that I got wrong that holds people back from finding their passion. I think a lot of people glorify it as a superpower, where they think if they're really passionate, they just get up super excited every morning, they levitate through the room, and when they get to their laptop, the work just flows through their fingers, and they never procrastinate, they never deal with resistance, and everything is just so easy for them. Because after all, if you really loved it, you wouldn't need discipline, right? Wrong. So you may love writing, but you find yourself procrastinating on it, and then you think, oh, it looks like it's not my passion then, not knowing that even the best writers in the world procrastinate and feel resistance every single day. And no matter what you're going after, there's always going to be this huge chunk of tasks and activities and things that are involved that you're going to hate. Think about it this way, you might like surfing, but you're always going to have to paddle out first against the wave to get out there in the first place so you can actually catch a wave and get to the fun part. By the way, have you noticed how good my analogies are? Like, so deep, like, man, if you gotta be a surfer, you gotta go against it. So building that business didn't come to fruition because, yeah, I don't like it. And I thought, what else can I do? Maybe I could do consulting, because that way I could get in touch with like-minded entrepreneurs. I would just work with established entrepreneurs and help them actually prepare their business for sale, just like I did with my business. But still, I hated it. At that point, I became pretty hopeless. A year had gone by, and in my mind, it seemed like it was completely wasted. I made no progress. I started thinking, am I maybe just not a passionate guy? Maybe I don't have a passion? So moving forward, I had an identity crisis. And this is a crucial step, I believe, for finding your passion, probably for you as well. So make sure you keep an open mind and you listen carefully, because this could really change things for you. I slowly started to just question everything that I believed about myself. So until this point, I was the business guy. I looked up to entrepreneurs. I was an entrepreneur. I'd already built and sold a business. But I started thinking, what if I'm actually not an entrepreneur? That was a really scary thought for me, because in my mind, you can only be really successful if you are entrepreneurial. But I started to just dig into these possibilities. And that's when I committed to developing real self-awareness and figuring out who I actually am. I would say the best tool for you will be journaling and actually sitting down and asking yourself really deep questions that only you can answer, because the answers are inside of you. Things like, what have I always been naturally drawn to as a child? What comes easy to me that doesn't come easy to everyone? If there's only one task I could do for the rest of my life, what would it be? To get to know myself more, I then took multiple personality tests. I'd already taken the Myers-Briggs personality test, and it described me as the person that all my friends knew me as. You know, really systematic, intense, structured, disciplined, just very strict. But at that point, I became curious and I retook the test. What showed up this time was completely different. I was an ENFJ, the protagonist. It was like a paper of a scientist that had perfectly analyzed me, like I was an animal on National Geographic. That was also a pretty cool analogy, right? You gotta give that to me. And then I took the DISC personality test, which describes 4 different types, also as animals, which are dolphins, whales, owls, and sharks. The sharks were the ones that were really intense and ambitious and driven, and I knew, hey, I'm definitely a shark. And guess what I ended up being? A dolphin. And I couldn't lie to myself. This was very accurate, but I didn't want it to be. What if you can't find your passion because you're not really being you? You don't embrace who you actually are. You're wishing you were someone else that you are not. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be one of them, but that was not my main driver in life. It's something that I had learned as a behavior. So I thought, does that mean I can't have a business, that I'll never be passionate about it, that I should maybe just get a job? I'm gonna explain it later, but first of all, I want to call you out on something. I want to challenge you that you already know what you are passionate about. You sneaky little weasel. While I'm telling you this, you're like, I don't know what I'm really passionate about. And it's actually blindingly obvious. You already know your passions. You're just not being true to yourself, or you have forgotten who you actually are at your core. And maybe you're thinking, no, I really don't, but stick with me here. Let's actually explore this a bit deeper. When I started to question my entrepreneur identity that I'd built up over the years, I took the advice to actually ask friends and family what they think your passion might be. Asking them, what do you think I'm good at? What do you come to me for advice for? Specifically for your family, what was it like growing up with me or seeing me grow up? What was I naturally drawn to? That way you can find out who you were as a child before you started becoming someone else, is what I was trying to say. And I remember my sister telling me that, I don't know, you're really entertaining, you're good at making people laugh. And I remember being like, how is that gonna help me? What, am I gonna be the chief entertainment officer at a company? That was actually a crucial bit of information that at the time I just brushed off. And the reason why you are not embracing that is because you believe that your passion needs to be something productive, something legitimate, something real, when in reality, it's right there in front of you. You are just avoiding it. For whatever reason, you're avoiding it. You're telling yourself, oh well, I love comic books, but that doesn't count. You can't make money with comic books. See, there was a time where you didn't have requirements attached to what you liked, and this has to lead into something, this has to be something. And you might think, well, when I was a child, I liked video games and hanging out with my friends, so where does that go? Let me explain it to you. Because the next misconception is that you think that passions are something that is very tangible, very obvious and specific. For example, you like painting, you like design, you like building a business, or just a topic like cars or sports. But this is such a surface level view, when in reality, a passion is not something you can quite put your finger on. It's very complex and very beneath the surface and very deep. While you might think you like superhero comic books, when you really dig in, you find that what you actually like is the empowering storytelling that allows people to see a strength in themselves that they didn't see before. You don't like eating at restaurants. You like the attention to detail that makes the simple things in life extraordinary. You don't like documentaries, you like communicating ideas that expand people's minds. It's your job to figure out, through self-awareness and journaling and asking yourself the right questions, what it is about your existing passions that you actually like, what is beneath the surface. So if you liked video games as a kid, what was it about that? Was it the storytelling? Was it the competitiveness? Was it the community? What is it? And from there, you see these endless possibilities that show up in different careers and companies that you could build that might not even have anything to do with video games, because video games is just a vehicle for the underneath passion that's actually beneath that. And I thought, hey, maybe I don't like business. The reality is there's infinite ways to approach business in a way where you can make it fun. See, I think there are 3 components to a passion. One of the components is the purpose component, which is what I just discussed. For example, you like expanding people's minds. The second component of a passion is the topic. So it's just maybe golf, social media marketing, fiction books. It might be something that you're just naturally drawn to, or just maybe something you have a little bit of an interest in. So for me, I couldn't be passionate about horses. Sorry, horses, I'm not interested in you guys. See, I wasn't passionate about my e-commerce business because I was selling baby products. But if I were to sell products related to personal growth, completely different story. There's infinite ways to approach business, depending on the topic, depending on the purpose. And then the third component of a passion is the activities. These are just things that you do day to day that are your main thing. See, I had a buddy who liked marketing and he was starting up his business, and he just admired how in my podcast that I dabbled in when I was trying to find my passion, how I was just so comfortable in front of the camera. And he was like, how does that come so easily to you? And he was in complete disbelief, thinking like, what's wrong with me? And it turns out that he actually believed that it's something that he had to do because it's just like, content, you gotta make content. Everyone has to make content all the time. And what he told me he liked instead was building marketing funnels, which is where you use this software and you have to like drag and drop and have to like do these little design thingies and I was like, dude, you really enjoy doing that? That's the most draining and horrible thing that I can think of. So what you enjoy, others might hate, and that could be a thing. So when it comes to figuring out the activity part of your passion, the core thing to look at is energy. What activities drain your energy and what activities give you energy? And after a while, you have some really good self-awareness of who you actually are. By the way, I'm looking for more people to be featured in my content, just like Dan when I helped him deal with his phone addiction. So if you need help with building a business or finding your passion or whatever it is that you need help with, there will be a link below. Back to the video. So everything starts with self-awareness, with really getting to know yourself, because write that down, there's going to be some really smart thing here. Your level of self-awareness is in direct proportion to your level of satisfaction in life, in any area, whether it's relationships, your work, how you feel about yourself. The more you know yourself, the better your life gets. But from there, once you know more about yourself, how does that actually translate into a business that you want to start or a career that you want to pursue? The first thing you should do is really just explore. If you feel like doing something, just follow it and do it for the sake of it without thinking about where it might lead or if it's just a waste of time. As an example, I started just making a sketch about entrepreneurship and just make people laugh. It was the first time that something came pretty easily to me. And even though it sucked, people really liked it. And my friends from Australia who knew me as this really systematic, intense, disciplined guy were actually really surprised to see that side of me, which they'd never seen before. And that's when I knew I had rediscovered who I really was. I was someone that liked being silly, that liked being, a clown sometimes. My sister was right all along. And I saw how all these dots from the past connected. You can't really look too far ahead. It's kind of like this fog where you want to figure out what's ahead, but you only know the next step as you are taking a step forward. Which again really is an amazing analogy of mine that I just made up. So you want to experiment with an open mind and then keep adjusting based on how you feel and just try different things. And before I give you the most important thing, let's just make this long story short. I kept making these sketches, then I started a new channel where I was making these adventure videos and then transitioning to where I am now. With this content, I want to build the tightest community for those who don't fit in because we're too ambitious and we are actually crazy enough to go after what we truly want in life to live without regrets. And the most important thing for you to keep in mind is just to keep experimenting, and your goal is to narrow it down, where you try different things and you get closer and closer to your ideal situation as you keep adjusting. What often holds people back from here is just procrastination, which is why I made this video over here where I discuss literally a quick fix. I know it sounds flashy, but it really is. Just go and check it out, click here, and I'll see you over there.